Our next speaker is someone who I met a few months ago and have come to know well. He has done a lot of the excellent filming of some of the hearings, of the rallies, and made some great short videos of his own. My personal favorite being Pan's Lies. So I would like to introduce to you Joshua Coleman. Josh is the father of precious Otto Coleman, who was vaccine injured at age 17 months in the year 2010. Otto suffers from vaccine-induced transverse myelitis and is permanently paralyzed from the waist down because of his adverse vaccine reaction. I introduce my friend and colleague, Josh Coleman.
Thanks so much for coming out. I feel extremely honored to speak in front of this group. This is my son, Otto.
Hi, Otto.
Hi, Otto! Otto received 6 vaccinations when he was 17 months old that left him paralyzed from vaccine-induced transverse myelitis. It's an autoimmune disorder. My wife and I relived the moments before our son became paralyzed, trying to determine where things went wrong. We think back to the fact that we received no informed consent from our pediatrician. He didn't ask about our family's health history. He didn't ask if Otto, my wife, or I were allergic to any of the ingredients in the multiple vaccines he'd be receiving that day. He didn't review the package inserts with us, including contraindications, possible side effects, or even the warning signs to be on the lookout for that would require immediate medical attention, which is done at every pharmacy when any other prescription medicine is given, with the exception of vaccines. Not only did he not review the vaccine's inserts with us, he did not even show them to us so that we could review them ourselves. He also neglected to mention that not one vaccine has ever been tested using the scientific gold standard, that of a double-blind, placebo-controlled study. Rather, vaccines are tested against other vaccines, combination of vaccines, or adjuvants, the ingredients which wreaked much of the havoc to begin with. To add to our shock and horror, multiple vaccines given at one time have never been studied either, despite being administered in random multiple combinations day in and day out to millions of children. Not even one doctor thought to call the FDA, the CDC, CHPH, or HHS after our son's vaccine injury. Not one doctor filed the appropriate and required report to the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, VAERS, after his injury, as required by the National Childhood Vaccination Injury Act, a reporting requirement dating back to 1986. Not one doctor of the many we saw told us about VAERS, their legal requirement to file a report, or our ability to file our own report. Otto's blood was never sent to experts to be studied. The vaccine lot numbers for the multiple vaccines he received were never reported to investigate the potential of a hot lot and to ensure this wasn't happening to other children who received these same vaccines. Now think about how differently this would have been handled if Otto had gotten sick from a mad cow disease tainted hamburger. Calls would have been made immediately, reports filed, an investigation started, warnings would have been issued, and the media alerted. When a vaccine injury or death occurs, none of that happens. As a result, here sits Otto in a wheelchair and nothing's been learned by what happened to him. To add insult to injury, not one doctor had the decency and compassion to tell us about the Vaccine Injury Compensation Act, the VICP. By the time we heard about it from other parents, it was too late for us to file a claim on Otto's behalf. The brief 3-year statute of limitations had expired. Thus, we are left to survive on a single income due to the constant needs of a child with paralysis. It's obvious why my wife and I cannot, in good conscience, ever allow another vaccine for Otto, or his younger brother, Fenton. Since there was no investigation, we have no idea what vaccine ingredient or combination of ingredients in vaccines causes paralysis. We will not blindly sacrifice him again or his brother on the altar of vaccines, vaccines which we now know to be dangerous and improperly studied. Otto is currently missing one vaccination to be able to attend public school if this bill becomes law. Unbelievably, he does not qualify for a medical exemption. If SB277 passes, he will no longer be allowed to attend public school. And I repeat, we are not going to allow him to receive even just one more vaccination. We will not be bullied when it comes to our children. The reasoning behind this bill comes from the incident that occurred at Disneyland in December. Senators Pan and Allen say that the incident at Disneyland is proof of why California needs SB277. They say that we need SB277 to avoid an epidemic. I see the incident at Disneyland very differently than Pan and Allen. Disneyland is the second busiest business on the planet with an average attendance of over 40,000 people every single day. Measles is the most contagious airborne disease on the planet. That sounds like a recipe for an epidemic. Those are two major extremes. But what happened? Second busiest business on the entire planet, most contagious airborne disease on the entire planet, and 134 people got a rash, some got a fever, no one died. That incident is not proof that we need to bully parents into vaccinating if they choose not to. That incident is proof that there is no problem whatsoever and that we have this thing completely under control. We're not going to stop. If this passes, we are going to continue and we will stop this madness. And we call Senators Pan and Allen.
Please don't take my school away.
Thank you, Josh and Otto.